Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45, and tonight we're gonna do things a little bit different. We might even break the internet. It is kind of crazy, but this is something that we have to talk about. And I've already talked about it on the Monday show, but I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity as well to talk about what we're about to see. Before it comes up, how you guys doing? What's good, TJ? How was your week, man?
Oh, it was good, man. This New England weather is trying to break, and it goes back to winter, back to spring. I know we're in springtime, but everything's good. It was a crazy weekend with MotoGP, World Superbike, and I'm just ready to talk about it.
Nice. Well, let's jump into it because Jordan, Bobby Shakes, welcome. As you see the chaos on the screen already, I got to assume you guys are good. So we'll just talk about this chaos that we're seeing unfold. Marquez, the instigator, the man who knows more about the Constitution or the MotoGP Constitution than Barack Obama knows about the American Constitution. Last second, Marquez decided to bolt to get his dry bike because he was on the grid on a rain bike. What are you guys' thoughts on that and what we're seeing unfold?
It wasn't chaos. He planned it. He planned it. There was a video that got leaked, I think actually by MotoGP this past couple of days, to where he was talking about it even before he even got to the grid. He was talking to his crew chief and was saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to catch everybody off guard, and this is how we're going to do it. But the thing about it, like you said, he knew the rules. He knew how to play it. He knew every intricate little facet about it. It's like, if we do it at 2 minutes, they can't penalize us because now it's a rush. But if we do it at 3 minutes, they're going to penalize us, put in the back of the grid. So like you said, he knew the rules. He knew how to play it. And his little dirty little trick almost got through with it. But they halted the race, set everybody back, let everybody change bikes. And they had a nice little talk with the operating manager of MotoGP afterwards, and was kind of like, yeah, we may have to revamp the rules again to make sure that Marquez and the brothers don't try doing that. And even Bagnaia, he was kind of like, hey, whatever Mark does, we're going to do also. Follow Mark. So it was this Ducati teammate fiasco going on in freaking MotoGP in Austin, Texas. Crazy.
TJ, do you feel the same way that Mark had it planned out from the beginning? Do you think that I'm not even looking at Bobby, so we're not even looking at Bobby right now because you know what I'm saying he might be like the caterpillar about to turn into a butterfly, which is always a beautiful thing. But TJ. What do you how you side you've probably heard so much on social media already and stuff like that and everybody's opinion. What are your thoughts on Marquez's action and the fact that he was able to convince a bunch of other riders to do exactly what he did?
I mean, it was pretty interesting to see for sure. Like you said before, like Marc Marquez, he knows the whole rule book. Like he knows the loopholes. For some reason, when I was watching it, I was looking at him and he was standing off the bike, looking in the sky. I'm just like, oh, he's just taking deep breaths. For you guys that was probably there, you couldn't see it like in detail like that. But in the back of my mind, I knew something was up, but I didn't think it was going to go to this extent. I've been at tracks where, people had to make decisions to change the rain or dry tires, and I know the chaos. I mean, I watched the Loudon Classic when it was just raining, all these red flags and stuff like that. But Mark's decision, that was funny. As soon as he ran, just the chain effect, it was like something was on fire, like whatever he does, everyone has to do. Like that's the rule, like he has the best decision as everyone can see. So it was pretty funny and entertaining that no one can keep up, even the staff, the crew members. There was even I forget which rider. I think it was Maverick. He was standing on the grid without a bike. And so it was crazy, but I think it was all planned for sure.
Bobby Shakes, yeah, Cocoon.
So they usually do a practice lap around, right? Yes.
Warm-up lap, Bobby Shakes.
Yeah, they do a warm-up lap, right? Starting lap and then a warm-up lap, and they've been practicing. He went out on the warm-up lap, felt that the rain tires didn't need him, so then he just switched to the other bike before the race. I don't see where he was cheating or was bending the rules a little bit. He just made a decision like, oh, okay. And because he's the leader and everybody wants to knock him off, they know that rain tires ain't going to work as good as slick. So everybody went to change. I will say this. Winning comes in all factors. It comes with knowing the rule book, development, mechanics. Where can I lose weight here and there? And then final denominator is the rider. So if Jordan feels that this is some grand conspiracy, winning is just not twisting the throttle. Winning is knowing all aspects of MotoGP.
Okay.
Sorry. Bobby Shakes. What are we talking about here? I mean, you were YouTube before YouTube, Bobby Shakes. I know you see some of these youngsters and you see what they're doing, and I know you're flipping tables. What are we talking about here? Now, look, so listen here, Bobby Shakes. Racing is determined by the riders at the end of the day. What bike they're going to pick, what tires they're going to be on, everything. Some people gamble. Some people take a chance. You want to talk about cheating? This is the closest thing to cheating, all right? Because there were about 4 riders that were on slick tires that were waiting for the race to start, right? Now, Marquez decided to start an uproar and run off the track and cause confusion. But we're not going to see, because of this situation, we don't see what Brad Bender did when he stayed out on slicks and won. I forget which. I think it was Red Bull or one of these tracks. I forget which track he was at.
Rebel Ring.
We don't see that. Oliveira, when he did it, we don't see that. In World Superbike, the replacement rider for Danilo Petrucci, when he stayed out there and won the race, there was an opportunity for Aprilia, KTM, or Honda to win a race. And these are the gamble. These are medium, soft, hard, rain. These are the gambles. Suspension setup. These are the gambles for somebody to blatantly make a mistake, and instead of eating that mistake, he decided to call. He caused mayhem by running. He didn't cause mayhem. He was hoping for mayhem based on his action. I'm just saying, Bobby Shakes.
I'm taking off my Yamaha hat because I wore my Yamaha hat for Jordan tonight. I'm throwing it away. I'm putting on my cowboy hat for Cody.
I mean, I do agree with that, man. Like there's riders that was out there that take the gamble. I mean, this would be the opportunity for them to, at least get some points or get a higher position. And one thing was Mark did run off and cause confusion, but in all aspects for himself, he was ready right at the starting grid in the pit lane. Everyone else wasn't ready as fast as he was, so things could have continued if it was just him, but he caused mass confusion. And I would be really upset if I was still on the grid ready to go and this happened. Obviously it did happen, but I should still be in front of everybody else at this point. So I do agree with you, Rexy, on that.
The Pro boss was upset. Got him swearing on TV.
Rexy, we were talking about that. It was Hervé Poncharal who talked about it first and foremost. And Hervé Poncharal, if anybody knows, MotoGP, he's been in the MotoGP paddock for 30, 40 years. I mean, he's not just been a rider or a racer. He's been a mechanic. He's been a team boss. He's been orchestrating things behind the scene for many, 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 many years. So when Hervé says, okay, if you're going to do this, then like Rex said, eat your consequences, but then you're going to have an uproar of riders literally having to just literally dump what they were doing and then be like, okay, are we switching? Are we wet? Are we dry? Are we flag to flag? What the deal is. No one knew it. And that's why they literally had to throw the red flag, because it's like, we only got like 3 bikes on the grid and everybody else is scrambling besides Marc Marquez. And I think it was almost nobody else that was literally ready to go when the green flag was going out, because he was the only one who had orchestrated it beforehand. He was the one who talked to his team manager and hey, get that bike ready. Hey, have it ready for dry. We're going to swap out at the 2-minute mark. So get ready. Don't tell nobody, but that's what we're going to do. Once I get a tap, and if you look at the video, he actually does that.
Yeah.
He's standing up there, relaxing, chilling. Like TJ said, like he was just looking at the stars. He was looking at the damn clock. That's what he's looking at. He's waiting for the clock to come down. Oh, God. That boy bolted over there. And everybody else kind of like, oh, crap. And then it reacted. So like I said, they only had 3 bikes on the daggone grid because Mark planned it and everyone else had to react. So, I mean, if you look at the video, pull it back like 30, 40 seconds. Right when he's sitting up there, looking up there, chilling. I know he's had his hands down. He had his hands down and he was looking at the clock. Wasn't looking at the clouds. Looking at the damn clock. Right when he hit the 2-minute mark, he tapped the crew chief, boom. And they had that bike in and out of there in seconds. You can't tell me that wasn't orchestrated.
Wow. I got a question to the panel.
All right.
Did we land on the moon? Since we're talking conspiracy theories here. We landed on the moon?
Shakes, what's the conspiracy? Tell me.
What's today's conspiracy?
I want to know the conspiracy theory. I really want to know this one.
Yeah, tell me what it is first, and then I can tell you if we did or not.
He's on the track, on the grid. He's looking up to see, because if you look at the American flag, he's looking at the American flag to see where the wind is going, and then from where he see the wind is moving, he could see where the precipitation is landing on the track. So he's looking at the flag. And
I've been on the track. That's not where the flag's at.
Where's the yes, sir?
The big flag, if I'm looking P1, I'm looking at the flag is over here. Not right there. Flag is over there.
That's where his eyes were.
Up the hill, it's up to the right.
That's where his eyes were, Jordan.
His eyes are to the left.
No. If we pull it back, you can see where his eyes is. It's because Rexy's playing it and the computer is mirroring it, so everything looks the opposite of what you're actually seeing. But he's looking at that. He's looking at the flag to see the precipitation in the turn, and that's it. And then he noticed the wind, and he goes, "Okay, it's going to be dry because the wind is not blowing the rain on the track; it's blowing it off the track." So then he said, "All right, let me go and get the dry bike." That's it. There's no conspiracy, no cheating.
See the flag to the right.
See the flag to the right.
To the left. Time.
Now, just look at this. We can't see anything here, Jordan.
See the flags, the 2 flags to the left.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with Bobby Shakes. I appreciate what you're saying. It has nothing to do with the flags. They already did a warm up. They already did the sighting lap, so they know the track is dry.
See, look,
he already knows the track is dry.
He's looking at the flag.
They didn't even know.
He was waiting for the Pledge of Allegiance to finish. Once the Pledge of Allegiance finished is when he ran. We were all looking at the flag because there was the young Bobby Shakes was singing,
God bless America.
Yes.
Guys, he was looking for the wind direction. That's why he was looking at the flag. And there's no conspiracy. He just decided, you know what? We're going to go to dry and just swap. I don't see where Jordan's coming up with this. This is crazy, Jordan. I expect better from you.
Bobby Shakes, this rules.
He's a hater. He hates
Bobby Shakes, this rules.
He hates the Marquez brothers.
I know.
He stated that on the record. Jordan says he's not a fan of the Marquez brothers. So everything they do is always something bad, and he's conspiring and he's cheating.
Bobby Shakes, listen, Shakes.
You did a great race.
Bobby Shakes, listen. You're Aprilia. You've won two races last year. Year before you might have won one. Year before you might have won one. Honda's been struggling for a little bit. Brad Bender, all he hears about is Pedro, right? These guys are ready. What are we talking about? These guys are ready. They're ready to sacrifice everything. Ayaguro last year when he won the championship, he was the only one, one of the two on slicks, came back and won. What are we talking about? This is an epic moment to see something unbelievable. You want to talk about the reverse of Harden? This is the reverse of that, where somebody out of nowhere could have won, but the top guy decided to say, I'm going to gamble on this. And this is, to me, this is pre-injury Marc Marquez. To me, this is the things he did when he wasn't injured, when he dropped that, helped take that championship from Valentino Rossi. These are the things. It's kind of like, I don't like F everybody else on the grid, right? That's what he did in that moment. And that, to me, like, yo, how are you gonna sit here? I mean, it's one thing we all racing together, right? But now, how are we going to sit here and hang out after the race? And how are we going to do all these things when you did this thing? And for the three guys, and Gian Antonio said it best in the press conference, I loved how it turned out because he's on the podium. But I don't want to change. But, yo, Aprilia, this was them. Like, so it's one of those things where the little guy, for lack of a better word, all these guys in MotoGP, they're not little by any stretch of the imagination. But here's a chance for these guys to take a gamble, and they gambled right. And all those other guys should have been penalized. Everybody that ran off the grid should have been penalized with either a long lap penalty or had some seconds attached to their race. And because that's what happens in quali, in practice sessions, when riders get in front of other riders to hold them up, somebody gets dinged with a long lap penalty because you're obstructing a rider, even though we don't know if that rider would have qualified up on the grid. We don't know that, but they're still being penalized for that. So it doesn't matter the outcome. It's the fact that all those riders, and I get it, the other riders are saying, well, we didn't do it because we just follow. And so it's they get to kind of say, hey, but if I was race direction, I would have penalized all those guys for that, because these are the moments it took away a moment to have, like I said, like what Brad did or when these other guys did, when they took a gamble and stayed out on the track when everybody else pitted for rain or slicks or whatever and took the gamble. And so you know, as I was talking to the guys, it's like, you know, in basketball, that analogy when somebody gets fouled and it wasn't a foul, and then the foul shooter missed the shot, ball don't lie. Marquez crashed out, ball don't lie.
Yeah, I was going to say the same type of reference. I do agree with that. I mean, there was one thing I know, like Marc Marquez got some secrets with his team, with his mechanics that Pecco don't know. Obviously, you see, Pecco had no idea. But I do give it to Pecco this weekend. He for sure stepped it up. You know, like when someone runs out the door and, you know, you quick run behind them, like some people just be like, wait, what's going on? Like Pecco, like soon as Mark ran, he was gone. Like his team didn't even know what was going on. He was like, "No, I gotta follow Mark."
I hate to say it like this, but Pecco got a little bit of black in him.
he was out.
Wow. One's running, I'm running.
Yeah. And you see two factory Ducati guys jump off the bike and run, and you know, like, hey, I would run too. So, yeah, I agree. They should have been penalized for sure. And it's interesting because like Mark knew this all along. Like he was ready. So even if things continued, he would have been ready. Everyone else would have been penalized because they wasn't ready, and that was his whole plan. But it was so chaotic that they had to, you know, stop it. But yeah, I think they should have all got a long lap penalty. Everyone who left the grid for sure. That would definitely give an opportunity for those guys like Brad Binder, like you said, to finally run up front and get the confidence that they need.
Yes.
So we want affirmative action now in racing?
No, we just want some action in racing. But let's go back to the beginning of the weekend because that's the hottest topic, right? But let's talk about we had practice in the rain. Some guys, we talked about this. Some guys benefit by making it to Q2. Some other guys didn't make it by not getting into Q2 that probably would have if it was dry out. What are your thoughts on that? These guys that took advantage of that, and then also we can roll into the sprint race as well. Let's start it off with TJ, man. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's all about the data at that point. It's all racing, like the weather coming in. So if you're not a good rain rider, if you're not a Jack Miller or someone like that that's used to rain, it's just unfortunate. It's just how the game goes. I mean, I don't really have much to say about that. I mean, yeah, it sucks. It's not as bad as what happened in the previous round where a rider will cut you off where you miss Q2 due to a race incident. So, but yeah, rain, dry. I mean, I know the comparison going back and forth. It's messes with your mental a little bit because you can't decide. But it's racing.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll say this, TJ. Furman Aldeguer got into Q2. Quartararo got into Q2. Vinales, Miller, Mir, Luca. These are guys that normally, I mean, outside of Zarco, don't normally get into Q2. You know what I'm saying? So, there's something there. Jordan, what are your thoughts on the situation? Did you the usual suspects, did they show up in Q2 that you thought would if they had mixed conditions like we had?
Yeah, believe it or not, it did. For me, I love the rain. I love racing in the rain. I mean, I like riding in the rain, mostly in public roads and stuff like that. But on the race course, it is the great equalizer. I love the rain because if you're not used to it, if you don't have confidence, not just in your motorcycle, in your skills, in your skill level, and being able to control that bike, whether it's drifting or whether it's kind of moving around just a little bit. I don't know if you see my butt moving. Then it really takes a toll to really feel like, oh, am I losing it, or is it just a grip, or am I drifting too much? And I love the rain. It is the great equalizer, period. A lot of guys who Zarco, was it Brad Binder, and the other Australian. It is just a great thing great tool to have to see, okay, Jack Miller, who really has all the tools in their toolbox that they can grab to utilize to say, okay, give me another click off so that I can feel the squat a little bit more and let the tires grip more into the corner. I mean, they've done small little things to those daggone bikes that make a complete big difference. For me, anyway, I would love to get on a MotoGP bike on the wet and just tear up. I don't know if everybody remembers, less than 10 years ago, they wouldn't even go in half the angle that they're going to now. With the rain tires that they have now with those Michelins, I mean, they're going full tilt. So, I mean, the lap times aren't exactly the same as dry, but I mean, just having a wet race or even a wet qualifying was tremendous to me to see. And I can't wait to see some more wet races come around, mostly in the European rounds.
Robbie Shakes. Jake Dixon won in Moto 2. He's a Brit. What are your thoughts about the qualifying and how you see things? Two Yamahas on the grid. Two in Q2, I should say. Two KTMs in Q2 and two Hondas in Q2. 6 Ducatis, but there's only 6 Ducati on the grid.
I can't find my passport, so I can't read what I'm supposed to read. I should have my script with me. I don't have it. But once you're
just say, what is it? Do you still say queen or you say king now?
It's the king.
Okay, king. So how does it go? God, king, country?
God, king, country. Right. The bearer of this passport, please allow to pass with no hindrance or fuss. That's it. That's it. But I do want to go back to the wet because I know how you guys kind of glossed me over on the wet. What I think should make racing fair is if you're a good wet rider, then you should lose one grid spot, and that way we can make everything equal. Since we want to make everything equal and want to make everything fair, we don't want people running off the grid. I think if you're a good wet rider, then you lose a pole position.
Bobby Shakes.
Back, and then we put a bad wet rider in front of that person. And that's the way we can make racing equal and fair, and there's no cheating and no conspiracy.
But the opposite goes then if they're quick on dry, they lose a spot too, to be fair.
Well, no, because dry is just dry. So there's no edge in the dry. It's dry. Race conditions are perfect when it's dry. I'm I want to be consistent throughout the whole show. That's all.
Listen, motorcycle racing comes down to the rider, the team, the condition, and the track.
Yes, sir.
This is what we sign up for, Bobby Shakes.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But I want the argument to be consistent throughout the whole show. If Mark Marquez feels, hey, you know what? Let me go to the slicks.
No. What Mark Marquez did, it was an anomaly, right? Is the best way to put it. It is not a normal thing. What he did, and I don't even know if he needed to do it. And at the end of the day, ball don't lie. So for all his theatrics, he got no points, right? So it would he have been better off just starting from pit lane? You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, we have enough to say, 2020 hindsight. We can say all these things now because it didn't work out to accordance to where he wanted to work out. And the potential was there. Obviously, it was his own mistake why he crashed out and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's not the same thing. There's, I see this I can speak about tennis and I can talk about motorcycles as well. And I know we hear people say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't winning.
You ain't trying.
Marquez is the Bill Belichick of MotoGP at the moment in the sense of what he did. It almost worked out in his favor. If he would have won the race, it would have worked out in his favor. It didn't. It also is unfair because why am I going to take a gamble then as a rider? I'm not Mark Marquez. Why am I going to take a gamble when he does something like this? Or riders do something like that. This is a huge deal, and I get it. If you're one of the three riders on the podium, you love how it worked out, right? But if you're not one of those three riders, it's not. So that's my only point. So I hear you. As far as like the universe fixed itself in the situation, and I will say this: I don't know if Mark Marquez didn't crash out if he would have still won the race. And some people would probably say he would have. But, as we look at the overall weekend, we saw that Bagnaia was getting faster before he crashed out. We saw that there are other riders getting faster. You know who's not getting faster? Mark Marquez.
And there was one thing too. I think I overheard that if they could have started the race, if 9 riders went to the pit and got on the pit lane, but once they hit 10, they had to stop everything. Right. So that's like a interesting thing. Like, I don't know if he counted how many people had rain tires on, but like you said, everything fixed itself at the end of the day. So I thought they were just going to go out for maybe a few laps and then switch real fast, like a flag to flag. But Mark Marquez and his move is trying to be genius. So
yeah, I think the race direction is going to have a new rule, and I think I heard this, and I think it was last year, and I don't remember if it was MotoGP or Moto2 or Moto3. There's a similar situation where a whole bunch of riders came in, and it was chaos leaving pit out to start the race from pit lane. Right, there was like 9 bikes or a lot of bikes out there. So for that reason, they did not. They said, hey, over a certain amount of bikes, we will do something, and so they had to red flag it because of that. Which is what they did, and so they did what they were supposed to do. But nonetheless, it's I mean, like I said, I think race direction will add rules, something in play for next time. But I think Aprilia has a really good reason to be upset. And also Honda and KTM if you're a bender.
I mean, I think all of them have a reason. Like I said, because what's the point of? I say to have rules. Everybody wants to. I'll try to play by the same accord. If you have a little bit of advantage, fine, grand dandy. If you work it in. But I mean, racing to that level, to that most dangerous level, I mean, like, you got to have some type of standard. If you want to just go willy nilly, then you might as well just go back to the dirt track, go back to dirt racing, where you can just do whatever and have fun and blah blah blah, and throw a turbo on there, throw in an extra tire or whatever. Put some studs in the wheels and get you better grip, and you can jump further and do a triple, do a quadruple instead of a triple, and good luck with that. I mean, you go on doing stuff like that, it's kind of like it. I don't know, but yeah, there's rules set up for a reason. Period. And if you can't abide by the rules, or if you just want to fudge them and stuff like that, then, like I said, that's when the penalties come in, and that's when you get penalized. And if you don't want to play the game, then okay, fine, grand dandy. Plenty of other sports, plenty of other things that you can do. But I mean, just doing dirty stuff like that is the reason why they're going to change. Probably going to change another rule again. You already got the stupid temperature rule. Change that. Now they're going to have a grid position rule, and now that's going to happen. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. So all right, but let's talk about the sprint race. Marquez did win the sprint race. Looked really good. Alex Marquez finished second. Bagnaia, even though starting sixth, finished third. He still seems to get a lot of flack for being the challenger to the Marquez family. Even though there's again other riders. What are your thoughts on will we see another siblings do what Marquez and his brothers done in the first two rounds, first and second, and then in the first race of Dakota GP, coming in first and second, outside of the Williams sisters playing each other in the finals? I mean, Tiki Barber, Randy Barber, maybe. I can't think of any other siblings where this is where their rivalries, not on the same team. What are you guys' thoughts of what that means for the sport? What these two brothers have accomplished?
I think this is amazing for the sport because it's giving a whole bunch of tinfoil hat scenarios. Oh, Marcus playing with Marcus playing with the riding. He's teaching his brother. He's not really racing. He's letting his brother win, and he's doing all of these things, and he's grooming his brother for the seat. We hear all the stories. But that makes everything super, super interesting because this is not being done before. It would be amazing to see these guys finish 1 and 2 throughout the whole season. That would be really cool for the sport. And hopefully we would see them on the same exact team. That would even be cooler. But I think the real cool thing would be, even though I want Pecco out of the seat, it would be really cool to have two brothers, separate teams, dueling out every week because they're similar, they understand each other, and I think that's just really good for the sport. And I think they're more equal than, let's say, a Serena and Venus. The brothers are more similar. Like Venus is more technical, Serena's more powerful, so they're kind of different. But it'd be really cool to see the same gene pool on different teams competing, and they're almost the same. I think it'd be great.
Bobby Shakes, do you know you look like Will.i.am at the moment?
Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas.
What do you guys thought about what Bobby Shakes said and what the Marquez brothers are doing?
Go ahead, TJ.
No, that's nice. No, I don't want to mess with Texas, the one state. They got their own flag and everything, you know. So, but I wish I had a sibling that was, you know, just as competitive as me or around the same age. It is definitely good for any sport, especially for motorcycles because, you know, motorcycles is, you know, we ride like we're family anyway. So to have family members with brothers or cousins just brings everyone closer, and just attracts more, and especially when they're doing well. So I think it does bring a lot of attention. It's really good for the sport, and I do agree with Bobby Shakes. If they finish 1 and 2, that would just be another, you know, stat in the book, and something that, you know, I don't think has ever been done. And for Alex not winning any races, I think he's leading the championship right now, which is pretty cool too. So I definitely didn't see that coming. But yeah, it just shakes things up.
Jordan Long.
You ready for it?
As can be.
I am actually ecstatic because, like you said, like both the guys said, TJ and no, clutch your pearls, right? Hashtag clutch your pearls. Oh my.
The beehive is real in Texas.
Me and another rider went out and we had coffee. I think I talked about it last time. And there was just a rider. He was just a regular guy. He was drinking coffee, having a conversation. And he was just like, hey, you guys know about bikes and stuff? Like, yeah, you know, he race, I race. We watch MotoGP. We talk about it on our podcast, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, yeah, I just recently watched a big race where these two brothers had won 1 and 2. Because of that, he never really watched MotoGP. So that is a perfect gateway. Maybe he had a brother. Maybe that was the link that he wanted to have with his brother, his siblings, or whatever the case may be. And because the brothers, whether they won or not, I don't think he cared about that. But because of that emphasis on the brotherly bond and them racing together, whether it be on the same team or not, he latched onto that, and it caught him, and he stayed watching. He watched the whole race. And I asked him, I was like, have you ever watched a MotoGP race before? He said, no. So, I mean, if we get more things of that nature spread out, not just through the world, you know, the UK, the US market would really thrive on that, something like that, because everyone knows through MotoGP, the US market is the least saturated. You go to Thailand, you go to UK, Europe, anything like that, they know a little bit about, if not, they're deep into MotoGP, motorcycle racing, World Superbike, et cetera, et cetera. We're the only ones that are kind of, you know, cowboys and Indians, and, you know, 4-wheel drive and big wheels and dune buggies and stuff. So to emphasize something like this on a world stage and be able to not just highlight the US American market, but the brothers here and kind of promote that, I think that is a really, really, really good thing. And hopefully, you know, we can continue that for the sake of racing and for the sake of motorcycles.
Did I just hear Jordan say MotoGP is nothing without the Marquez brothers?
Oh my jeez.
You did not hear that. You definitely did not hear that. I think he
did not say that. No.
I think he said it's nice to have siblings that like the same sport.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Like the same sport, like I said, whether they're on the same team or not, because they've done so well with these past, just 2 races. I mean, it's really put a spark for people to be like, who's these brothers? Wash your mouth.
It's
Alexa.
Don't mess
Oh, I
with
didn't say
Texas.
that. Yeah. So it's a real good thing for us so that we can talk about it, promote it, and then hopefully, get more people involved in it. Like I said, because that was just a perfect thing when I was just sitting around, we had no motorcycle gear on. I think I didn't have anything on. I had no Motor America. I had no Yamaha, no GP, no nothing on there, just regular street clothes. And like I said, we just hung out at a little cafe or moto cafe. And next thing you know, we're talking about, the Marquez brothers. And at first I was kind of salty. It's kind of like, because, it's the Marquez brothers. But it was, clutch of pearls. I know clutch of pearls. It was definitely, it was definitely good to see someone who was not a MotoGP fan or know anything about MotoGP to watch, to be enthusiastic about it, and root for them, even if they didn't know who they were rooting for. That's a plus.
Yeah. I will add, and I'm going to talk about this in one of the series that's coming out. And that same thing happened. I was talking to an old guy who rides, and he's not into racing at all. And the only reason why he was at MotoGP was because his son is into it. So, the sport does bring people in. Even if they would not necessarily be into it on their own. Let's talk about what De Antonio or Morbidelli did. I think there were 4 and 5 in the sprint and 5 and 4 in the in the overall race. We have talked about who else is going to go at the Marquez brothers besides Bagnaia. It seems like De Antonio and Morbidelli looks like they want to step up and take a slice at that. They've been pretty consistent, more Morbidelli than De Antonio, but De Antonio was hurt, still probably is a little bit hurt. Sounds like he struggled a lot in the race, but nonetheless still had the podiums they had. What are your guys' thoughts on what VR46 Academy guys are doing? And will it be enough? You think down the road to kind of like to take a dig at what the Marquez brothers are doing?
I don't think it's going to be enough. I want to start real quick. I don't think it's going to be enough, but I think they're moving in the right direction. I think they do have the riders to actually push the envelope a little bit because the other 2 riders they had on there were good, but weren't really giving it their 100%. DG, I think once he gets healthy, he's going to be pushing his teammate. And, I'm going to say Franco is, once he gets his head right, dude, he's a missile. So as soon as he gets a couple of little tenths here and there and get his confidence back up, because usually once his confidence kind of gets a little bit of a niche, then he starts complaining. If he can just stay focused and then and move forward. So I think they're going to move up or stay higher in the standings, but I don't think they're going to be able to knock down the Marquez brothers, even on a Ducati.
Okay, all right.
That red factory, man, that's going to be hard. Pecco and Marquez going to be hard to take down. VR46, yeah, they're looking good, especially for how they started this year. As I always been saying, like race 3 is like the biggest turn point for me anyway, to see where everything shakes out. And boy, we had a big turnout with this track. But they look good, especially with Morbidelli, what he's been doing this year. To see him finish, I think 5th in the sprint and 4th in the GP race, and Digi just finish 5th, 4th, and then actually get on the podium. Which is really good for him after the injuries he's been through. And Franco's been through injuries as well, most all the riders, but you can see them improving, which is good. And which is good. I don't think they're gonna take down the brothers, but they can definitely shake something up for sure.
Bobby Shakes. One brother crashes out, another brother doesn't win. VR46 Academy is right there. What are we talking about?
An object in motion tends to stay in motion. right? We're seeing Morbidelli gaining momentum. We're seeing it. Even in week 1, gain momentum. Week 2, gain momentum. Week 3, gaining momentum, closing that gap. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I like to add, will Pedro Acosta enter this team to take a shot at the king? What do you think? Is that, I read that rumor. Is that even true? Or what do you think?
You asking me? You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
I hope it's just a rumor. I think that Morbidelli and Di Antonio is good teammates, and I don't think they necessarily need Acosta to finish first and second. I mean, what are we talking about, right? We're gonna sit here and say we need Pedro to finish first and second for us, and what you're gonna pay him to do that? I don't know if that's a good look for VR46 Academy. Look, I get everybody wants to be on the 96 Bulls or whatever Warriors team or whatever Celtics team or Lakers team and stuff like that.
Any Celtics team.
Well, I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you did. I was one. But I if they let Bezzecchi go, I can't believe they're going to sit here and pick up Acosta. And no disrespect to Acosta, but this year he's yet to show that I will give him a ride this year because my guys are finishing in front of you right now. So why would I give you a ride when my guys are finishing in front of you? And I know Acosta wanted to go to VR46 from the jump. Full disclosure, I know he wanted that, and KTM. And we've talked about this on other episodes, how they lock up young people with contracts and stuff like that. It makes it very difficult. So, in fact, he probably will. We saw it with Fernandez. He jump seat when he could, Raul Fernandez, and I think these guys would jump seat when they can. But to your question, Bobby Shakes, no. At the moment, Morbidelli's my guy. I think Morbidelli can win a championship. There's no question in my mind about that. I think he had this weird injury. And he became a different rider, like a Penny Hardaway, like a Grant Hill or Penny Hardaway kind of thing. But is he one of the? To me, and I've said this already on camera. To me, I think he's probably a faster rider than Pecco is. To me, but I don't think he had a bad bike and also had injuries, and he's starting to shine right now. And I think more than halfway through the season, I think Morbidelli is going to be a force. Will he get a factory seat again? I don't know. But he'll be a force. Di Antonio, I will say this about Di Antonio. He did surprise me. Honestly, he's when he almost lost his seat, when he did lose his seat with Grazzini. And then he did all those wins and all those positions for Valentino to give him a seat. He's definitely been earning his keep, and he's showing that I'm one of these guys as well. So yeah, no, I again, I'm maybe a little bit long-winded, but Frankie and Di Antonio, I would probably keep with VR46 for next year and even the year after, because I think they really have a really good shot at it's only the third race and they're third and fourth and fifth kind of thing. And we debate if Marquez didn't crash, but we talked about from the last round where Marquez was already doing things to crash and he was saving it. And here's a situation where he didn't save it in the race. And the other 3 times, if he didn't save it, the championship will be different. But we'll see what goes on in the future. But let's talk about Acosta. He didn't do as well this weekend, and so far hasn't really been doing as well for the year. So Miller did all right. Bezzecchi did all right. We got to talk about Honda and what they're doing. Mir looks really well, even though he crashed out. Before the season start, we were wondering what Honda and Yamaha would do and where KTM would be and stuff like that. Now, it's starting to shake out. and Bastianini finished 7th in the race. Bezzecchi on the Aprilia finished 6th in the race. Miller on the Yamaha finished 5th in the race. We can't just say Team Ducati anymore, right? We got to start talking about these guys. Is this weekend just a fluke because of weather, or is it something to come by riders and manufacturers that's not Ducati?
I think we have to really sit down here and if Mark didn't crash out, we wouldn't have this conversation, right? Things got lucky.
Bobby Shakes, if Tom Cruise answered my call, we wouldn't be having the show. Continue.
I mean, where's the blue tape? I mean, what do you? I mean,
what are we talking about here? Let's talk about what happened.
Headlights.
What happened? Save the tape and tell me what happened. Mark crashed out.
He crashed
of his own doing.
Yeah, he crashed out because of his own doing. Because some people say ball don't lie.
Yes.
Zarco had his chance a while ago, right? In week 2 to make a move, and he didn't, right? So Honda was there. Honda was on the doorstep. They just don't have the bike, right?
Right. With different rider this time, but still.
Right. He crashed out. I think it still would have been Ducati 1, 2, and 3, and I'm still holding to what I said.
4 or 5, yep.
Yeah. No factory would be on the podium this season. I think Mark, I'm hoping that he has the jitters out of his system, because like we've been saying on the show, I mean, we've all been consistent saying that's why it says I grab front brake with 2 hands. I think Mark has saved it in 4 races, and he lost it in the 5th, right? He saved it 1, he saved it week 1, week 2, he saved it 3, he saved it in the sprint, and then he lost it in the Grand Prix. So I'm hoping that he works out the jitters. And I do believe, though, even though he crashed out, he still had the fastest time. So he's riding on a very, very vicious edge. And I think Mark could tone it down he could tone it down a drop and still be super fast. And I think if he didn't crash this week, we wouldn't be talking about the other manufacturers. And like you said, if Tom Cruise called you, we wouldn't be on this show. So 2 things could be right at the same time.
Listen, I like what you said about Marquez and his fast this time. I do like that part, but I before I go on, I'll let either TJ or Jordan jump in, and then I'll circle back.
Dude,
give him tape.
Huh?
Tape the blue tape. You have nothing to say.
What was the question? Threw me all off.
I got it. So, well, I mean, I could jump in. I can say that I really thought. I mean, I can see the manufacturers like Honda stepping in the right direction for what Zarco was doing the first couple of weeks. And you see, Mir is a good rider, but he just needs a good bike. But it's just so unfortunate that he keeps crashing out and can't get any points behind it to show the improvement. We see them picking up speed and all that good stuff. But I think Honda is doing a little better. Obviously, no one's catching Ducati right now, as you see. They also got 6 bikes on the grid, so it's hard to get data as fast as they are improving. But I was scared for Aprilia to start practice P1, seeing Bezzecchi's bike in limp mode, and then he crashes his next bike and then gets back on one. The mechanics couldn't fix it. So I can't say they're really stepping forward in the right direction. I mean, they're down a man. We know Martin's supposed to be on there. But in the end, he did well in the GP. So, but yeah, no one's catching Ducati right now. I mean, I think the manufacturers did improve a little bit this weekend. It was definitely a little shakeup. So I think a lot of people got a lot of data, but Only if the rules applied, where if something happened during the GP race, it'd have been a total shakeup. If people got penalized on the GP because things would happen everywhere. So Stewart's dropped the ball this weekend, I think, if anything.
TJ, take the red pill, not the blue one.
No, TJ came up with a good point. I forgot about Bezzecchi, and his bike was just all a mess, all a gosh darn mess. So he had nothing to do with it. Like I said, it was whatever he was trying to do just wasn't working. I remember a couple of years ago when Josh Herron had an issue with his BMW, and come to find out after they tore down the bike, and I guess they washed some parts, and when they put the bike back together, there was like a droplet that was connected to the connector and was shorting it out. So every time he started the bike, it was going into limp mode and was not working right. So he was doing all this crazy stuff, blah, 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 tore the bike down like completely again, to find out that once they tore the bike down and then they saw this one little freaking droplet that was in one of the connectors that shorted the whole bike out. And I'm probably thinking that's probably what happened to him on his Aprilia, to where he couldn't do nothing. He didn't do great into the race, but at least he trudged through. He was kind of like, screw it, give me the bike that somewhat works, and I'll do what I can. The other manufacturers didn't do so bad. They didn't do horribly bad.
They did well. They did well. I mean, they three other manufacturers got into Q2, and the top 10 is Yamaha, Aprilia, KTM, and Honda.
And Honda, yeah. And Zarco did amazingly good. Like I said, he even said it in the press conference before that if he gets an opportunity for a factory ride, he would take it. And at the sprint, didn't look like he really wanted it. But then the race came and was kind of like, yeah, I'll take that seat if given the possibility. So, I mean, I guess the whole weekend was not say perfect for everybody, for every team, but they were definitely trying to work everything out. Bugs, water droplets, crashing out, cheating, whatever you can.
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. This weekend was, you could not have planned this weekend out at all. All the drama that kicked off, all the qualifying drama, the sprint race was stupendous. And then, like I said, the Piste de Resistance with Marquez crashing out of the S's.
That's
unbelievable.
So let's talk about that crash a little bit. Was it pressure? Was there any bit of pressure? And I said this on the Monday show. Is to you, and I'll pose the same thing to you guys. Do you feel like Marquez should be riding like he's LeBron James? How LeBron James is playing right now. LeBron James is not trying to beat you by 100. LeBron James is just trying to win. Marquez, and you alluded to this, Jordan. Should Marquez just be focusing on winning and points and not necessarily beating these riders by 10 seconds, 15 seconds? Because when you're young, that's what you do, right? Oh, I'm gonna beat you by so you know I had you by that much. So when you look at me, you know, right? Like he's trying to Jordan them guys, right? And the other Jordan, not this Jordan here, right? He's
they're both great.
You know what I'm saying? Should he, as an 8-time world champion, not try to sun these guys and just try to just win? Because if he was just trying to win, he just need like last year. Pecco manages a second and a half. He manages that. Like he's not trying to beat you by 2 seconds. He's managing that second and a half. If you pull up, he'll push up. But and when you fall back, he falls back. Should Marquez already know this? Is he just so excited on the bike, having so much fun that he's just? I mean, what's happening with Marquez? Because he should be thinking like, okay, I want a championship, right?
I want to put your face, what you just did, like the Valentino on the helmet. I want you to do that.
But that's go ahead, guys.
I think it's the error for me. Like what you was explaining, Ressi, that's Pecco's motive to just race and see how things go, just to manage everything.
Yeah, like he's thinking like a champion. Like, just win.
I think Marquez is a little different. I think he was racing around the around Rossi. We seen the celebrations that Rossi used to do, and all the race themes and the excitement that he brought. Like I think Marquez is kind of following that suit a little bit. When he wins, he jumps in the stands. Gets the crowd going. Whatever generation after that, like Pecco is just more low key, just tries to win the right way, a little more superstitious, I'll say. But yeah, I think Marquez that's just what that's what he's been bred into, and I think he just wants to test his will and see how much he's really back. I think he's so comfortable right now when he doesn't even feel phased that he crashed, like he lost a lot of points, because I feel like he feels so dominant right now that he can just get it right back. So I think he's just a little cocky, but it's just who he is.
I will say this: Valentino Rossi left Yamaha because he couldn't have as much. Yamaha left Honda because they weren't having fun. They didn't like his celebrations. They didn't like how he was having fun. And when Marquez was with Honda, he was not doing the celebration he's been doing since he's been with Ducati and Grassini and on the factory. So there may be something where Yamaha, for lack of a better word, frowned on too much celebrating. And so maybe say again.
Didn't he do the floss on the Honda?
On a Honda?
On the Honda when he won Coda, didn't he do the floss?
Okay, so would you consider that like having fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby Shakes. I don't want you to do the butterfly, but you know what I'm saying? Bogle, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The floss is not. That's you know what I'm saying? That's still party in the front, not even in the back.
I think you made a good point, right? Pecco's managing minutes. I have to manage my minutes because I know the guy that's in front of me is a whack job. And he pushes. This is the first time, obviously, because of the show, that I'm really, really watching MotoGP, like watching every turn, bringing it back. So when 45 gives us secret questions, I know what the hell I'm talking about. Every corner I'm seeing Marquez go into, he's sliding it and he's wheeling it. Remember, Jordan, we said this? It's like when he goes into a corner and he hits the front brake, I feel like my TV also compressions, how much compression you see on the bike. It's like, whoa, my TV gets warped. So if you're Pecco, you're like, hey, I know he's going to eat it. I just have to maintain. And that's what happened this week. Also, too, I think there's a lot of pressure on Marquez. He wants to kill. And I'm gonna get a little biblical here. I think you should kill the gods, not the followers. And I think Marquez is trying his best to kill the god, and the god is Rossi. And I think he wants to be dominant, and he wants to be the man. 400 years from now, you want to see Marquez's face. You want to see his face inside the logo of MotoGP. And I think that he's just going crazy.
He wants to kill all of Rossi's disciples.
Yeah, he wants to kill the gods. He wants to kill the disciples. And the disciples know, hey, listen, they're going to put this guy in the cross. We just got to take it easy. And Bagnaia took it easy, waited his shot. Because remember, in the first 2 races, when he's saving, if Pecco was just a little bit more aggressive, he could have finished at a higher spot, but maybe Pecco's playing it right. He's like, you know what? I'm taking it easy. I'm gonna play this out in real time. I'm gonna see where we're going. It's a long season. He could have all the well, let me grab my lotion because it's what you guys put on Marquez's tire. The whoa Echo is waiting to strike, and I've been on his ass all season, and I think now objects in motion tend to stay in motion. You keep on grabbing the bike with Jordan. You should see my TV every week. I got to go and buy a TV. How this guy compresses my TV? It's crazy. It's. He's got to calm down. He's got to calm down. Long season. Long
season. TJ, Jordan, whoever wants to jump in.
I mean,
should Marquez take it easy and think about the championship, or is he trying to erase?
But he's not going to. That's the whole thing. We've talked about it. He's not going to. Lap 1, what was it, turn 7 or something like that? He almost high-sided. He's not going to. No, actually, no, it's turn 12. It was turn 12. It was a triple on the right. And he slid that puppy for about a good 80 meters.
Oh, my goodness.
Dude, he's not going to.
I would have been changing my shorts.
It's just not going to happen. Do like Bagnaia and a couple of racers, they're in the lead. You add a 10th, they can put a 10th in. That's what they're going to do because they want to manage that lead. Marquez, he doesn't care. He's going to push it. I push and I push and I push, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to push to the limit. And then he's going to find the limit. He's going to fall off, and then he's going to do it again because that's all he knows.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to this limit, like it's hard to say, "Hey, back off 10%." He wants to win, so I think it's no slowing him down. Really, I think Pecco is going to have to be the Juan Mir to win this year. He can't crash out. What I'm saying is
just say Pecco just needs to be Pecco from 23 to 24. 22.
What I'm saying is
don't do that.
Don't do that. Well, we know Pecco. We know Pecco crashed out a lot of Grand Prix last year and also won the most.
The year before.
So,
and if he didn't crash out, how many championships to talk about? If Tom Cruise finally called me, how many championships would he have?
But what I'm saying is he can't get on that tendency to he can't afford that. I mean, we know Marquez is going to go balls to the walls, but Pecco is going to have to stay consistent and not crash out any races. So that was my comparison because Juan Mir didn't win, first place. I think he got a couple podiums.
He only got one first place that year.
Yeah. So, if Pecco really wants to, get that plate back, I think that he has to change his game plan. But I think there's no stopping Mark. There's whatever level he's at, it's no decreasing it. You see what he did with the Honda, like. He's pushing that thing to the limit. He had money for unlimited repairs or whatever. Like every time, like we went through so many bikes each weekend. So,
yeah. And Jordan, before you jump in, I have to keep reminding everyone this is Pecco's best first 3 rounds since he's been in MotoGP.
Yeah,
right. This is his best 3 rounds.
Yeah,
and he's already had 2 world titles.
Yeah, I mean, if he can stay consistent, like we all said. If he can stay consistent, stay up front, and let Marquez not do what he does, but like I said, he's either winning or Bennett most of the time. And yeah, most of the time he does win, but last time he does bend. And it's just kind of like, do you want to risk that on win it or Bennett type of situation? Or would you rather stay consistent, catch up to him, hopefully learn a couple more things because you are on the same equipment maybe learn a couple little things here and there. You don't have to mimic Mark. You don't have to emulate him, but maybe, okay, if he's pinning it a little bit more, just a couple of meters down on turn 10, let me see if I can match that. I mean, they're on literally the same freaking equipment. If you can't do what he's doing, mostly brake-wise and acceleration-wise, find a way. Find a chink in the armor and then be able to match up.
Can I add something? Another conspiracy theory since we got our tinfoil hat on. And, when you're in the studio and this is something that you young kids have no idea about. When we used to record on 2-inch tape, you always went hot to the red and then you backed it off to the green. So that way, you're getting a strong signal to tape. Is Mark Marquez trying to get a strong signal to tape? Because he knows we're hearing rumors that boy's coming off the sidelines in a fortnight. Is he terrified? Is he trying to show dominance? Is he trying to play head games with Martin to let him know that, hey, listen, you're coming back from injury. If you're not willing to push it, you ain't going to get nothing. I mean, could he be doing that? Could he be trying to get into Martin's head now? That be it? Why he's going? We've always gone crazy, but this I've never seen. I mean, this guy, like Jordan's. I mean, he's not on slicks. He's like on rim. He's just riding rim. He's sliding all over the place. He needs to put tires on. Maybe that's why he's crashed, because he finally put tires on the bike and didn't know how to ride with tires on the bike.
I'll let you guys answer that before we get out of here. I already have my thoughts on that, but I want to hear what you guys have to say, TJ and Jordan, on what Bobby Shakes is proposing or hypothesizing over here with his tinfoil.
I don't think Marquez is worried about Martin at all, but I know he can play mind games with the whole field. So he got everybody. It's not just Martin. So I don't think he's just focused on getting his championship and getting closer to Rossi, as Jordan was saying. But, I don't think he's worried about Martin at all. I think Martin has to be the most worried, because we know I think he's going to come back thinking that he can be at the level that they're at. And I know that's a real thing. Like, there's no way. It's like coming back playing basketball. If you can practice all you want, but the game shape is different. So
I have to agree. I'm not think he's really worried about Martin. I think in the back of his mind, actually for the past 2 or 3 years, he was aiming for Rossi's title and surpassing that, as well as Giacomo Agostini's title. Remember a couple of years ago, before Valentino finally retired, he was trying to get that 10th. He was trying. And we harped on that before, Rex, when him and Rossi and Marquez
Lorenzo
went at it. And it's just like, dude, get out the way. And he's kind of like, oh, I'm going to push. So I think he's more or less trying to do that than really worry about Martin. Martin has to worry about Martin. Once he gets back on that bike, he's going to have to get up to speed very, very, very fast. And right about now, it's looking like he's going to have to almost win in a bid for himself to keep that number one plate on the Aprilia.
Yeah.
Is that even going to happen? That's a conversation we'll definitely talk about later on and race 7, 8, and 9 to see how he does and really see if he's actually back on that sharp edge, which I don't think he's really going to be on, but God bless him if he is. I think he's more or less going to be way more concerned about getting another title and pushing to the limit and making everybody else say he did it again.
Okay. I'll use the Michael Jordan analogy. You look at all the people that Michael Jordan has signed to the Jordan brand. They're all killers. You look at all of your 46 Academy riders. They're all killers. Mark has to be a little nervous because they all cut from the same cloth. Rossi's cut from, and if they're not, they're gone. And we've seen it already. Riders that were in the academy that weren't cut from the same cloth, they're no longer part of the academy. I don't. Between Morbidelli, between Bezzecchi, between Bagnaia, and I'll put Luca in there as well. All these guys have the potential to upset Marc Marquez from winning a championship, and definitely the guys on Ducatis do, and the Aprilia is there. So if anyone I don't think Marquez is looking at Martin. He's looking at the VR46 Academy riders because he know where they come from. He know what they're about. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where he's looking at. And that's why he's trying to, run out front, stay out front, and kill their spirits. So try to kill their spirits to even decide to even give up this year, right? Look, I'm beating. I got the first 5, 6, 7, 8 races under my belt. Give up. You know what I'm saying? Those are the guys that he's looking at. He's not looking, no disrespect to any of the other riders, but a lot of these other riders don't have a Valentino Rossi that they can call at any time or train with at any time, like the VR46 Academy riders do. And so I think it is the Marquez brothers against the VR46 Academy riders more so than it is Martin. And I feel bad for Martin because he has Elish in his corner, but for the most part, it's his family. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these other riders, for the most part, and I've said this before on the show, it's like when you have an academy, and even Marc Marquez and Alex Marquez, they got guys that they're managing and bringing up as well. So it really is going to be at the top of the food chain, VR46 on one side, and Marc Marquez and all of the people that come after that they've trained up and brought into MotoGP. So 5 years from now, it's going to be really interesting what's going on. But this thing runs deep, and Marquez don't want to be beaten by any student of Valentino Rossi. And I get that, but Rossi got some guys that can beat him, and we have to keep in mind that, and we talk about this from the American side of MotoGP, the Spanish riders took over MotoGP for a very long time. And that's why Valentino Rossi in the first place started the academy, because it was all Spanish riders on the grid. So this thing started from a while ago. And so it'll be interesting to see how it looks in 5 years. But as far as this year, Marquez is fighting against Morbidelli, Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, for sure. And I'll throw Digi in that, even though Digi, he got to the academy on skills outside of his own, unlike these other guys, but he's part of VR46. So if he's team VR46, you already know what it is.
Right.
I mean, I have to agree. He's going to have a fight to keep that number one plate. Hopefully, all those names you put in there, plus a little bit more, is actually fighting for the title, or if not, trying to at least break it up. I mean, because it gets, I'm not saying it gets boring, but it sort of kind of does, just seeing Mark run off in a distance, and then kind of like, okay, Alex is right behind him, or hopefully somebody else is chasing behind him. But other than that, it's kind of like, let's break up this duo, this Batman duo that we need to break up. So yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah. Now, it's very difficult because it is, like I said, it is math, and all you need to do is just get out by a second and a half in front of somebody, and then the battle is different because you just got to maintain that. Or somebody else got to crash trying to catch you, which is great for analytics where it is today, but also boring for watching, because we don't see the Dyson that we saw like in the first 2 laps or first lap and maybe second lap of the sprint and the main race. What we saw with Pecco coming from 6 and doing what he did and all that, and the 4 riders, passing each other, all trying to make the turn. Was that the Honda, the KTM, and I think I forget who the other rider was on that. That was a great pick of that. So what are you guys' thoughts for the next round? It's Qatar. Do we have any foregone conclusions before we get out of here? who's gonna win it all? Is it just an anomaly this weekend and Marquez will be back, or are we seeing what I thought would happen once they get over to Europe and overseas, and figure things out? It'll balance out.
Well, I'm hoping that, Mark, like we said in audio recording, you push to the red, you back it off just a little bit, we recorrect, and we're ready to go. And I think it's going to be Mark, Alex, Morbidelli.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Because I got to be consistent. I said he's gaining momentum. So why would his momentum stop going to week 4? I think I don't see Pecco is just going to manage the race again. 25 points.
But that's what you do.
Yeah, I'm going to. You do. These guys want to grab the front brake with 2 hands and a foot. I'm right behind you.
Man. Sorry, guys.
You got him so upset, he's flipping things over.
But I think
it's not easy to get the brake with your foot, is it?
It's not easy. This is gonna be an interesting race because like this is another race that has like another long straightaway. So I feel bad for like the Hondas and the Yamahas who can't stretch their legs really. I'm just looking at the results from last year. Digi won it. Pecco came in second, and Marini third. Maverick Vinales fourth. I know Maverick Vinales won this, I think, 2 years ago. So those are 2 contenders. I think Maverick and Digi that can probably step it up at least because they have confidence of being in the front. Hopefully KTM can have a better weekend this weekend. But hopefully, I think it could be Digi top 3, Pecco and Mark. Those are my 3 that are probably up there. But yeah, again, it's going to be a Ducati lockout, I'm sure. And Bobby Shake's conspiracy lives on.
And hold on a second. You see this guy on my computer? Let me get him in focus. You see this little guy right here peeping over the computer?
Yeah.
That's Martin looking at the race. And I couldn't find he got a good tan because he's been on the beach. So look at him. He's over the fence looking.
Yeah. He's hoping for those riders to win now, Mark.
He should be back in Qatar.
Yeah.
Jordan. How's your tan?
Like TJ said, I don't know if it's going to be a Ducati lockout, but I think the factory is going to definitely be up there. Hopefully, Digi can actually pull something out. I wasn't really thinking too much about I'm going to say Polar Spargo. I don't know why I was thinking that. Martin. Hopefully, like I said, that may be a good track for him to kind of be able to get his bearing back and to really put a mark down on it. But like I said, that front straight is mean for the Ducatis. So it's really going to be hard to say it's not going to be a Ducati factory VR46 lockout.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, I don't really see anybody else coming close, maybe. But other than that, factory, VR46, take your pick. Other than that, forget about it.
Yeah. There might be a KTM, there might be an Aprilia in there. I will, and I don't think we've talked about this, but the 2 injuries that Jorge Martin had between the practice, the testing, and in training, he broke a lot of bones.
Yeah.
Like 10, over 10.
Yeah,
but he's walking. He's already walking now.
Yeah.
And he's already got his wrist.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
he was, yeah. So the question is, it's everyone is different. You know what I mean? Everyone's different. I'll throw Morbidelli out there. We see how long it took him to come back. Rins is another rider who's broken a lot of bones as well. And we see even though he won last year or the year before on the Honda, we've seen these guys kind of struggle with injuries. We see Antonio, he's still struggling with his injury that he has and stuff like that. We saw Morbidelli took a good amount of last year to come back from his testing practice injury on a Ducati Panigale, not a GP bike before the season start. So Martin looks good. He looks like he's ready, but chances are he's gonna be at least 4 rounds behind.
Yeah.
Even the best of us. So it'll be interesting, but I agree. I think it's going to be more VR46, more Grassini, more the factory, and we can throw in a KTM or two, or a Yamaha or two, a Honda or two, and a Aprilia or two, which is great. It's great for racing because that means the top 14 bikes is all the manufacturers, and which is what we want to see. And it's we have talked about how much the first place rider has been beating other riders by, but I think these guys all manage the time, and it's better for them to stay on the bike than to crash. And they all kind of fall in that mode where, okay, tire maintenance and everything, let's bring it home instead of pushing, where I think some of us, the 4 of us, if we were racing, we'll come back with with our tires gone.
Wonderful.
So I think that's where MotoGP is as far as managing the race and stuff like that. And that part does get a little, as they say, in baseball, if you're throwing a perfect inning, it's boring to watch. So, or innings.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing when these guys are doing what they're doing really well.
No hitter.
Yeah, we lose sight of that. I want to thank everyone for coming on. We'll be back next week with more of this. I'll leave you guys with one final word before we get out of here. My name is Rex45. Final words, Bobby.
Don't mess with Texas.
TJ.
Vroom, vroom. Spike season.
Wow.
Jordan.
Support your local vendors, support your local motorcyclist. Look twice when you're making turns, making corners, and save a life.
Peace.
He's talking about you, Marquez.
Peace.
Peace.